All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. Happy June. We're almost free, right? June 15th. We get to start going around a little differently, hopefully without the masks. So SJREI, this is where the deals happen. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. Hopefully you've been noticing some of the deals we've been sending out to the database. We have been doing marketing to the Bay Area, and we're getting quite a few deals coming in. So all those deals that we can't handle, we're sharing. So if you're interested, if you're local, make sure you let us know that you're one of our buyers. So here at SJREI, we're here for the purpose of education. We're here to motivate you, to give you opportunities, but we do not warrant, guarantee, or endorse, anything. You are required to do your own due diligence. And you guys hear me say it all the time. If you make an investment and you make a profit, I'll let you keep it. If you make an investment and you lose your money, I'll let you keep that too. So there you go. So our mission is to provide education, networking, and inspiration so that you can make profitable investments and change your future. When we did our poll, we found out that 78% of our regular attendees have done business together. So if you're looking to get into the game, this is the group that has people doing business. And yay, my book is finally released. So I wrote it a year ago. And then of course, with COVID, we took a little bit of a break. We finally got it released, and we hit #1 in at least 3 categories. So we are excited and we thank you. Yes. So the influencer's impact. This is really about finding out what your purpose here or your mission on earth is. And when you live in your mission and you are out serving, you will find that your impact creates a network with people, and you end up getting what you want, like the income you want, the life you want, the fulfillment you want. So the quote I have here is, I don't want you to waste another day just surviving. This book truly is your secret weapon. It is like a workbook almost. It has activities in there for you to do. And once you start thriving in these activities, you will start to see your finances turn around. And it's written in 6 simple steps to allow you to leave a legacy of influence and impact. And so we do encourage you to head out to Amazon. If you go to this link here, sjrei.org/impact, you can get the digital version for 99 cents. That will be going up, but right now we have it priced at 99 cents. And the digital version, you don't need Kindle. You can use it on anything. And then when we send out the replay, we will be sending out the replay with a discount for the physical copy if you want it. It's a light read, people. It's not going to take you forever. I kept it short on purpose. I wanted you to read it. So it's like 75 pages. You can get through it in less than an hour. And the activities will take you a little bit of time, but when you do those, it will make a difference in your life. So yay, it's done.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah. All right. Upcoming events. So of course we meet the first Tuesday of every month, and we bring in speakers from around the nation. And this next month, we're bringing in somebody special, me.
There we go. Finally.
Yes. So I'm going to be talking about the nitty-gritty of local rehabs, behind the scenes, what you have to pay attention to in the California market when you're doing rehabs. So make sure you sign up for that one. It's going to be very educational and funny too. Yeah, we'll share some fun stuff. And we're going to dive right in. So Zack Childress is one of these investors that is a powerhouse. He's a friend, a fellow investor that has been through the downturn and thrived through it. This gentleman understands the California market, picked up and moved to the Midwest. He lives in Alabama, Madison County. And he also runs a real estate club, much like I run here, and has the opportunity to not only be in business, but share what he knows about the business with others, making impact and influence in his sphere of influence. So let's go ahead and make a warm welcome for Zack. Yay. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let him share his so that you guys can get his slides. Let me see if I can figure out how I stop share. We go here. All right, so you might have to give me, there it goes. I got it. I had to find the right button. All right, Zack, you're up.
I am. And
Welcome, Zack.
thank you.
And you might have to turn your volume up just a little bit. You're a little distant in your volume.
Okay. I'm just trying to get it all worked out here.
I know, right?
I got too many things I'm controlling right now.
There you go.
Does that sound better?
Much better, much better.
All right. I just had to get that mic a little closer to me is all. All right.
Perfect.
Well, are you guys seeing my screen? Thumbs up? Yes?
Nope.
Not yet. Okay. Let me
Okay.
click this button now. Are you seeing my
Yes.
screen?
We do.
Boom, there you go.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I love the thumbs up because I know not everyone can speak at the same time. So it's kind of like when we do an event and everybody's eating lunch, I just say, can you just mumble to me and let me know you hear me? So listen, I'm excited to be here and I am tickled that, I get to actually speak back to the California market because that's where I started my entire career almost 19 years ago. I was just sharing some of that before we got started here. And my very first location was a place in Vallejo, California. Some of you might know that little area very well, and it expanded out. Next thing you knew, within a year I was in Sacramento and then down to San Jose, but I'll share some more of that a little bit later. But really, I just want to say I'm excited to teach you guys something that I am, it is who I am. It's what's made me the investor I am today, which is known as cluster zone investing. So if you guys have a pad or a pen or a highlighter or anything, I would encourage you to get that out for me right now, because I am going to talk a lot about some in-depth stuff that some of my mentors taught me that helped me get out of the '08 crash and really thrive all the way into where we are today, because I do things a little bit different than the majority of the investors out there. And I am going to have a little emphasis on this, on what we call quick cash strategies, or also can be called wholesaling. I don't like to call it wholesaling only because when people hear the word wholesaling, they think traditional type wholesaling. And that's really not my goal here today. My goal here today is to kind of open up your mind a little bit to what is possible if you switch just a few things in your business and see it from a different angle. And so, like I said, my name is Zack Childress. Lori, thank you for having me here. And I want to kind of just jump right into this thing and show you guys a little bit about what we're going to talk about, because my big goal, which is a lot for 90 minutes. So that's why I'm going to do an all-day boot camp. And if you guys aren't registered for that, you need to be, because there's only so much I can get out in this 90 minutes, and I'll have a whole day with you to really dig more into this training. But I want to teach you guys.
And Zack, before you go too far, I want everyone to let your guard down. The all-day boot camp is coming to you at a fabulous price.
That's true.
Because you and I made it so that they can attend this all-day boot camp for free.
That's
so,
right.
So I want them, yeah, exactly. I don't want them to get all like, oh my gosh, how much is it going to cost? I want you guys to dig in tonight, learn what he's teaching, and know that this level of teaching is going to continue for a whole day for free. So, all right, now you can continue. Thank you.
I love that. That's always the big one. Like, oh no, I really want to go. But yes, I saw that when I went over to the page, and I was going to mention that. So thanks, Lori. So the goal I'm going to call it part 1, part 2, right? So part 1, part 2, the goal is to get you guys to see this opportunity by shifting a few things, either A, for you guys to do quick cash exit strategies, selling contracts, or for B, hear me when I say this, to get specialized in acquisitions. So if you're the type of investor that's like, look, you know, I really don't know if I want to wholesale things off. I'm in a buying mode. If I could just find them, I want to buy them. Well, that is why we teach this for both categories, people who want to sell off the contract rights and people who want to just get really good at finding better deals. And so I'm going to walk you through how we do this and how we find these distressed properties with literally zero competition, because we're going against the grain using this strategy known as cluster zone. And I'm going to dig into this thing on Saturday and our quick flip model, which would easily be able to add or start doing 2 to 4 houses a month. I know we can get up to almost 20 a month right now, just as a back end on this model. I'm going to show you some real samples and kind of give you a better understanding and an idea of what that's going to look like. And the best part is you can do this from your home. Like this is what I love about my business model. This is my home. I don't leave here if I don't have to. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, how many miles did you put on your car in the last year and a half? And I said, 3,000 in a year and a half. Like, that goes to tell you, like, I don't want to leave my house. I leave my house to take my kids to school and then go pick them up. That's about when I leave my house, or cheer practice or something like that. So anyways, we like to call this the cluster zone effect training. So that's my goal. Now I get it. You're probably not, or this is probably not the first webinar you've ever been on. And I understand. And a lot of times you get on, you get a little frustrated because maybe you just didn't get enough information. Hence why we're coming back to do the all-day boot camp, right? Is why I know where some of that frustration leaves off. And I know that, you know, I was blessed that Lori invited me to do a part 2, and I love this. I teach this every month to my own group. And so I'm just happy to be able to teach it with you too. But here is what I do know. Is the help, right? How do I find the deals? Where are the deals at? Where do I dig them up? And so I know that that's probably circling around in your head quite a bit right now. And that's one of the things I definitely want to help us get accomplished today. But before I can even talk about where to find the best deals, we really need to understand what the market's doing and how are we positioned in the market to make sure that, here, let me say it this way. The worst thing that new investors do is they go, this is the way I want to invest, and I'm going to go do this investing, when the market may not even call for that, or much less be the market cycle we're going into to be prepared. We live with a motto in my market, in my REIA, and it's always about prepare, plan, and execute. Write that down for me real quick. I'm going to explain this and why when I dig into market, where the market is and where it's going. Is prepare. So what are we preparing for? Well, we're preparing now for what's coming. We're planning our strategy. So where does plan come into effect? That's the specialized knowledge that you need. Please write that down. Every one of you on here is missing some form of specialized knowledge. Look, I hired a mentor just 2 weeks ago because why? I'm almost 20 years into this. There's still specialized knowledge that I have to obtain to get to the next level. That's the planning stage. How do I plan with the right information to get me to execute where I need to be so that I can prepare, plan, and execute? And execution sounds easy, right? It sounds easy. But when it comes time to do it, that's where people tend to slow down. They tend to pull back, and they tend to let fear get in the way. And the only reason fear gets in the way, please hear me when I write or say this and you write this down, is fear is created from lack of education. That's where it's created from. Listen, you know, I invest in markets all over the United States. I also buy companies, and I can tell you, I didn't come from some, you know, major background with education or parents with, you know, deep pockets. It was all from me going out, realizing what I wanted, and then finding the people that knew how to do it, and then investing in myself to get that information. And it was that execution of that allowed me to move to the levels that I have at such a young age. And, you know, and I'll share more. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we just got to remember, we got to know where we are and where we're going so that we know how this strategy works. Because scared, confused, and lost is exactly where people will be when another market cycle comes through. When it changes again, they don't take advantage of it, or they're trying to buy more real estate, but they don't understand acquisitions, which is also coined as wholesaling, right? We get really good at wholesaling because wholesaling is the art of acquisitions. That's what it is. If you really dig down to the core of it, it's how to find good deals, how to negotiate good deals, how to contract good deals, where to find good deals. And if you don't want to buy them, how to sell your rights to those contracts out. And let me be clear. It could be a little $20,000 house in the Midwest, or it can be a $1.2 million house in California. It does not matter the size. It matters the deal structure that you put together through the acquisition and the communication. And so numbers are irrelevant when we talk about wholesaling and acquisition. It's all about acquiring the right strategy to get the best deals in each market. Write this down too. I don't know if I have time to get to it, but we build out what's called a zip code matrix. And I want you to really, for all my data people on here, which I'm a data. I'm all about some data. We build out what's called a zip code matrix. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, known as a cluster zone effect. And inside that cluster zone effect, we build what's called a zip code matrix, to where we can identify each zip code by which one of the strategies we need to deploy in that zip code based on the cluster zone to know which strategy will work best. And I hope that that resonates with some of you, because that starts to take out the guessing work. It's not like I'm just throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that one of them sticks, right? It's like I'm very laser focused and very laser targeted to a specific location because I've already done the data. I already know what strategy will work the best in there. And when we talk about wholesaling, let me be very clear with you. My job today and Saturday is not to teach you traditional wholesaling. Not this Saturday, next Saturday. Let me just be clear on that. So it's not to teach you traditional wholesaling, even though we will talk about it. It's to teach you all the other wholesaling strategies that no one's doing, that opens up a whole world of opportunity for you to really maximize the immediate cash that you need to either put more into marketing or to buy more deals. And so now I do know this because as someone who runs SJREI, like Lori and her team, we get a lot of people that come in that are stuck in YouTube University. They're stuck in it. And look, let me just share this with you real quick. If you've been in YouTube University for the last year, I get it. It is designed to keep you stuck. And here's why. Back when I got started, we didn't have all the what we call micro training out there, right? You had to find a seminar, you had to go to that seminar, you had to learn from an expert. And in today's world, micro training like YouTube and some other ones, they've done a phenomenal job of getting more people aware that there is an opportunity in real estate. Where it has failed most people, and some of you on here probably have experienced this, is that it's so many different opinions. And it's micro, it's 3, 5, 6 minute, 10-minute clips. It's not long enough to really drill down into something that people freeze. And let me also say this, it's all perspective too, right? There's 101 ways to make $1 million in real estate. And just because one person's teaching this way and another person's teaching this way, doesn't mean they're wrong. That's the way that person's journey went. And this is the way this person's journey went. What you need to get clear on is that you can't do all 10 at one time, right? You got to narrow it down and you got to get like, okay, I'm going to make this one work until I make money. And then I'll go add another one onto it. And so that's part of why I say people get stuck here, because they go, oh, this looks great. Now, next week they're watching a whole nother strand. They're like, oh no, this looks great. And then next week, oh, this looks great. So just remember, even though as user-friendly as it is, pick one course and stay on stream and you'll find success faster. So, because you'll end up like me when I was going around trying to figure this out, and it was just frustrating in the evenings, right? Like I was working a job, I was going to night school. I was working a job in Vacaville, California, actually. And I was driving to night school all the way over into Concord at a night college over there, and then I was driving back to Vallejo, and so it was like, whoo. And I remember I was making phone calls during lunch. I was going through videos and books. We didn't have a lot. It was all books and manuals back then, and I just remember how frustrating it was for me at that time because. I started all that self-doubt, right? Like I started saying, am I really getting anywhere? I haven't done a deal yet. Or, I've only done one now. When is it coming? And then I started thinking about, do I really have the time for this? And the problem with that doubt is this, and I want to be clear on this, is that it stops us from seeing where we're going. It creates this vision of right in front of us to where we're only seeing what's not being achieved and we're not seeing where we're going. We have to keep our heads high and see where we're going, because you can do this. And I know society makes you think that you need a huge bank account. Not true. I know that all of a sudden now they come out and they say, oh, you got to have access to large loans to do real estate. Not true. Not true at all. If you play the market cycle correctly by using cluster zones and the right zip code strategies, this is not true. And you got to have some great credit score. Look, I started this business with a 520 credit score, made $1 million my first year in this business in my 20s. So I don't want you to think credit has anything to do with it. Credit is nothing but a limiting belief is all it is. I mean, I'll be the first one to be very clear on that. And, be something you're not. Like people say, oh, but I got to be this great person on the phone and I got to be able to talk, no. Some of my best students don't even live in this country. One of my students is from Australia, and this guy is killing it over here in Tennessee. He lives in Australia and is killing it in Tennessee buying. I have students in Indonesia. I have students in Iran. I mean, we have students all over because it's all limiting beliefs. Let me be clear on this. Okay. It is what you believe is true. Instead, if you get on the call with somebody, instead of being worried that you're not going to sound professional, just be honest. Say, look, I've never really talked to direct to sellers. I've always been talking to agents, but I feel like I can help sellers better if I was to talk to them. So if I stumble a little bit, forgive me. Like, just be honest with them. People appreciate honesty more than they do you trying to be deceiving. And I think that's where a lot of times that one statement right there hits people in the face, is they think, oh, I got to act like I'm somebody I'm not, or I got to be somebody I'm not. And you don't. You just have to be you. And you got to be right in front of them and tell them the truth, and they will lean in and talk to you more about their property than you believe. Or you got to be some aggressive, fast talking, charismatic negotiator. And that's not true neither. I always dislike the word negotiating, because I feel like that makes people think that they're trying to beat somebody down on the price. I think that once you understand that you have a duty to explain to the seller why, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the boot camp, and here, write this down for me too. It's called a lead intake process. I'm going to give it to you real quick. So can I get some thumbs up? I only see like 5 people. Everybody else is black screen. Can you give me a thumbs up? Let me know you guys are with me. You're catching what I'm putting down here. So, all right. Awesome. So here's the thing. There's a lead intake process, no matter what business you operate, whether it's wholesaling, acquisitions, rehabbing, it doesn't matter. The front end of all those businesses is lead generation. And we take it through what's called a lead intake process. And over the last 19 years, this has never changed in my business once I learned it. And it's marketing to acquire the leads. We call it a pinwheel. There's free and paid ways to do it. For marketing, there's communication. This is where we're gathering data. Right? It's all about data. There's no aggressive negotiating. This is the offer. You're going to lose your house. It's just, you're building rapport. You're just asking some questions. You're trying to find out about the property. From there, it goes into research and analyze. And that's where we actually tell the seller, hey, look, I'm going to take, today and tomorrow to get some numbers together and give you a call back and talk to you about what I can do and how I can help you. That's research and analyze. Then we move into negotiating, which is the side most people go, you got to get them so low. And that's not true. For us, negotiations is just calling the seller back and explaining why we can do what we can do. And we're not a one-trick pony, as we say. We give them multiple options, which I'm going to share with you guys here in a minute, on what that looks like. Like, hey, we can do this type of deal with you based on these buying criterias, or we can do this type of deal and pay you more based on these buying criterias. And it really allows us to not negotiate. We're just offering our services at different levels so that the seller can pick. And so from negotiation, the last one on this lead intake is called convert. And convert is when they say yes, move to escrow, move to a contract, sell the contract. Convert could also be if they say no. If they say no, what do you do? Well, we put them in a follow-up campaign. So just to be clear, like negotiations is, you don't have to be some aggressive, fast-talking, charismatic negotiator. You just have to be able to explain what you can do. And that's the key, is learning how to explain what you can do. And at the end of the day, none of this stuff is actually factual. You don't have to be some great handyman neither, right? Or handy woman, I should say. You just have to know how to put the right people in place. And so all of this is wrong. So, but it all comes down to your why. I'm never going to not say this in my presentations. I'll probably say it 1,000 times, because look, you can make $1 million in this business and you can lose $1 million if you say the reason I'm doing it is because I want money. Money will come and go. Money is not going to change anything in your life, but the reason the money is being acquired will. And you got to really dig into that. So you might say, well, Zach, what's your why for being here? Well, I've got some goals in this presentation. Okay. Number one is I love helping new investors. Like, that is a big thing for me. I think that new investors are sometimes the ones that need the most direction. And so I would like to say I specialize in helping new investors get going super fast. Even in my own local market as the president of my REIA, like this Saturday, I have a beginner's boot camp. And next Saturday, I got a boot camp with you guys, right? So, but that's why I love doing what I do. And I do it in my local market because I've proven it. I know the model. They come back over and over again. And I'm excited to do that for you guys. I want to help any struggling investors, because sometimes what happens is they get stuck doing the same thing that doesn't work anymore, or they get to a point to where they're in the business and not working on it. And I want to teach all of you how to master the art of finding good deals from really the comfort of your home, and to do it with no competition when it comes to exiting those deals. Because most of the other, if you look at the wholesaling side of this, they're chasing one type of buyer. We're going to talk about 4 of them, and to understand the one thing that's missing when we get into cluster zones, and how to do your first deal quickly. That is a big goal of mine. So, but success, people say, Zach, what is that? Just give me the success. What's the success? Well, let me say this. Success only comes from the same thing that these types of companies have created. And I'd love for you to type in your chat box if you know what that is. Let me just hear you if you know it. Let me pull up my chat box here. Where do I get my chat box at? More. There we go. Chat box. Let's see what people type in. I like a little communication helps me out. I don't have you in a live room. So what do you think? Process systems. Love that. Yes, that is absolutely right. Anybody else have some ideas what these have in common that create success? Repeatable process and systems. That's true. There's a chat box on the Zoom, guys. If you click on it, you can actually type in there and it'll show up on my screen. So volume is good. Volume is not always important, and especially in real estate. I'll be clear on that. It's all about margins at the end of the day. So I know people that do 300 deals a year, and I make more money than them doing 100 deals a year, because sometimes volume is not always the right answer. But when you start looking at companies like this that have systems and processes in place, one other thing that they have a lot of is automation. They have a lot of automation, which allows it to be duplicatable. So I want you to write that down. On Saturday's boot camp, we will absolutely be talking a lot about automation. I don't have time to do it here, but I'm going to be talking to you guys how we automate a lot of deal flow without ever talking to the lead flow. Ooh, did you hear that? We're going to be talking about how to get a lot of deal flow without ever talking to the lead flow. And so that's important. But yes, it's automation, it's systems, it's processes. And ultimately, that was the key factor for my success. And so here, a little fun fact for you before we get into the market stuff is businesses with a system are 14 times more likely to succeed than those without a system. I like to kind of call this more of the win-win situation. And this is why we learn and we earn at the same time when we're working together. And part of what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is really kind of a plug in and play model where I love working with students all over this country doing more deals like Lori and the team that you're working with. And that's part of what we like to say our learn and earn process. And so it's kind of like hands-on help, helping and making sure that not only are you finding deals, but how do we get those deals into paychecks so that you can profit as well as anyone else in the middle of those deals? So 2 big goals, cluster zone, write that down. Number 1 is cluster zone. That's my one huge goal today. And number 2 is I want to make sure you guys understand the only way to apply the formula without knowledge, experience, funding, and rehabbing is ethically instill a plug and play system that does it for you. I'm literally going to hand it right to you on a silver platter. So that's important. So let's talk about why this training has so much to do with the market and where we're going in the market. And that's very important for you guys to understand. And then I'm going to be digging into segmentation. I'm also going to be walking you guys through 3 processes that you need to be writing down. We're going to be talking about 4 buyer types that help you get out of that traditional model of just selling contracts to cash buyers. And we're talking to you about how to cut costs. So we got a lot of stuff to cover in a short amount of time. But let me be clear with you on this. So this is really when we look at the market as a whole. These little colored lines are going to explain something in a minute, but we're somewhere right here, right? We're kind of, who knows? We're either on the cusp of it or we're still riding this thing out. I wish we had a crystal ball, right? But we don't, and nor do I. And I can only go off of past indicators and what other markets are doing, right? I mean, believe it or not, there's 140 markets across the United States right now that is on a decline. I know some of us be like, what? How is that possible? My market's on fire. Well, no, not all markets are. And so there already is some correction happening, especially when we see with the moratorium. And, I'm not going to get all into that, but just know it doesn't matter. Please hear me when I say this. It does not matter what the market does. What matters is are you prepared for any shift that the market makes, right? Like it doesn't. It's just your strategies kind of change or pivot or morph as markets correct themselves and they change. So let me help you see this. So we all remember what happened in 07. I was living in California when that happened. It was literally the best wholesaling time of my career. Like it was phenomenal how much we were doing as that market shifted. And I'm going to explain why. It was not, hear me when I say this, it was not because we were wholesaling to cash buyers. It was not. Because if we remember when the market shifted, what did cash buyers do? They all withdraw like a turtle, right? They're like, whoa, let me see what's going to happen. It was because I learned to pivot and identify these other 4 ways to wholesale. And we maximized that shift when everyone else was kind of crashing and burning. And then obviously we know when you hit 2011, 2013, that was a massive buy time. I mean, it was massive. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, the wealth I created during that time frame was insane. And the key is why? Because I prepared for it. Every market that changes, we have to prepare for it. Okay. And then we have our hold period, right? Which is where I feel like we just kind of came out of and kind of still in it a little bit, but you got to remember where we are. And so if we know we're here and we know that, well, that should say 21, sorry. We know we're here and we know that the opportunity to wholesale deals is still available, but we know the biggest windfall is still to come. We need to do what? I gave them to you. There's 3 things that we have to do. Number 1 was what? Prepare, plan, and execute, right? So if we know that's what's coming, we better be making money now, which is called a cash grab cycle, which is what we're in right now. But we need to be preparing ourselves for what is coming. And I promise you, if you're just wanting to do traditional wholesaling, what's coming, you won't make it. Nor in 07 to all the way down to 2010, wholesalers crashed and burned because they were focused on one type of buyer, and that was a cash buyer. They crashed and burned. They were like parasites. They were only surviving because the cash buyers were in the market. Well, what happens when the market shifts and cash buyers dry up? Well, then they're what? They have no way to feed themselves. So they dry and go get jobs. But I'm telling you, what I'm going to share with you over the next 60 minutes will absolutely change the way you look at this whole business. But we have to prepare for that, which is what we're doing today and what we're doing on Saturday, the 19th. Thumbs up. Okay, got it. I got it. All right. So the time right now is to be in the market, getting your money reserves built up. That is the goal, right? We want money reserves built up. So when we make that shift, we can pivot into the different types of buyers that are buying during that shift to keep our money grab going. So then when we hit the bottom, we can all buy houses, as many and as much as we want, and become even more wealthy through real estate. So just like so many of my students I've taught before you, and from California to Texas to Arizona, Phoenix, Utah, Nevada, Seattle. I mean, I can name them all over, Canada, Australia. They're everywhere because they've realized that plugging into the right type of system, not doing it just the same way everybody else is doing it, but doing it in a way that nobody knows about, that's the pivot. So there again, why am I here? I'm here to share these pivots with you guys, and I'm here to really get you guys excited about where your journey can go, but also what gives me the right to be on this screen with you and teach you. Well, I've been an investor for over 19 years. I've been featured in articles all over as a real estate investor, a segmentation expert. I was fortunate to launch couple of books that hit bestseller. My recent one, I actually teamed up with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, got it to bestseller, which is great for a guy who flunked English over and over and over. So pretty proud of all of those. And then, but at the end of the day, I just want you guys to know, I'm just a dad at heart. I mean, that is who I am to the core. It's me and the kids. It's ride or die. I started my journey in California because I even knew back then that I wanted to not be the dad that said, well, I'm putting all this work in for you guys. And then 24 years old, I didn't have any time with him as a kid, right? And so I started it way back then in my 20s to be where I am today. So, but I started in California in 2003. That's where I went to my first, what I call awakening seminar, when they said, you can do real estate if you're broke, poor, have no credit, and you're bald. And I said, well, that's me. I can do this. So, but I've been fortunate from that journey to create massive success through real estate, become a national speaker, even international, and go on to do amazing things and really become semi-retired. And I'm a 4th grade youth minister at my church. I've served the PTA for the kids' school for 5 years. I just get to be like the dad that most of my friends laugh at me about now. They're like, what are you doing on the PTA board? I'm like, well, they needed somebody. So, but this is where it started for me. So there again, I shared with you in the beginning, I didn't come from deep pockets. I came from a trailer park in a little bitty country town in Alabama. And I was so blessed that I had a mother that said, this is not what we are here for. We are getting out of here as fast as possible. And so I had a mother that had forward vision. She did not want me to grow up here, but she didn't know any better, right? And so she always told me to dream big. So I did. I used to watch this movie Cocktails all the time. Some of you might know it. It'll tell your age. It's Tom Cruise. And I moved to a place that, yes, that's my head on Tom Cruise. That's not Tom Cruise, just to be clear, you know. So I moved to a place called Panama City Beach, Florida, and actually became a bartender down there and loved everything about it until one day I woke up and they said, you're fired. And I'll never forget, I called my mother. Now, my mother is a hardworking soul of a woman. And I told my mom what had happened, and she just started laughing at me. And I said, why are you laughing at me? And she said, well, you chose that job. She said, if you chose to work for someone, then you choose the right to be fired. And I said, the wisdom from a little old lady, right? Like, well, like, you got a good point there, Mom. She's like, go get your own business, and then you ain't got to worry about getting fired. And I thought, okay. Well, needless to say, it didn't work out. I ended up moving back home, not with my mom, but back to Alabama. And this was where I lived 19 years ago, guys. This little duplex in a rundown neighborhood. I mean, it was bad. When the guy told me I could rent it for $125 a month, I thought I had a deal until I went inside and realized it was an old crack house. And I thought, oh my word, what have I done? So what do? I call my mom again. I say, Mom, I'm living in an old crack house, blah, blah, blah. And she starts laughing at me again. And I'm like, what is going on? She says, son, you need to be thankful right now. I said, thankful for what? She said, you hit bottom. You only got one way to go. And I thought to myself, well, I guess you got a good point there again, Mom. She's like, yeah, you can't get any lower than you are. And she's like, so pick your head up and get out there and do something about it. And so anyways, I read my first real estate investment book there. Some of you probably know the gentleman, he's blessed his soul, was Carlton Sheets, right? And that opened my eyes a little bit to real estate. So what did I do? I took everything I owned. I went to a community yard sale. This is how big of an impact I was ready to make in my life. And some of you need to pay attention to this. I took everything I owned and I went to a community yard sale and I sold everything. TVs, you name, game stations, you name it, dishes, plates, cups. I sold it all. Not for a lot. I think I made like $500, got in my truck and I headed to California. That's what I did. That was my journey. And I met my first mentor at a seminar. And he was the one that really started teaching me that real estate was the easiest process in the world if you understood acquisitions. He said, if you get acquisitions dialed in, which we know is wholesaling, if you dial in acquisitions, everything else is just strategy. He said, but you've got to dial in acquisitions. And so I went out doing that. Now, like some of you, I'm in California. I'm a young kid. What did I face back then? Back then, 2004, 2005 was very similar to what the market looks like now. Everything was hot. Everything was firing and going way over asking. Everybody wanted to buy. I was faced with all the same challenges, except I was in my 20s back then in California. Bigger and deeper pockets I was faced up against. People running commercials against me. I mean, it was like, how do I get this figured out? They were beating me to the deals. And I was getting frustrated. I was like, man, is this really meant for me? I had all the right things in place, but I couldn't get the deals fast enough. I had the team. I had the money. I had the buyers. I had the foundation. And then things got even harder because I started going out in the market and realizing I did not understand acquisitions. When I would get on the phone with the seller, I couldn't convert them. And then that was when the light bulb went off for me. And I remember one of my very first mentors, Russ, said, listen, if you want to be successful in acquisitions, he said, you have to get really good at one simple thing, and that's segmentation. How do you take a market as a whole? Instead of you trying to be the investor for the whole market, he said, Zach, this is where investors go wrong. They try to take a square and stick it in a round hole. He goes, it doesn't work that way. He goes, this is why we have such a fail rate. He goes, because people are saying, oh, here, go do this investing. And they run out and try to do it in every market. It doesn't work. He said, you got to take that market and the group of people in every market, and you can segment them into certain categories to know which strategies work best in which areas. That was when he started teaching me about what we call cluster zone effect and how we can take these segmentations and we can filter those down into cluster zones, and we can get real targeted by identifying the 4 buyer types. This is the part I need you guys to wake up and start listening. Okay. These 4 buyer types are the key to how these cluster zone effects work, because then you're now allowed to go into these and identify cluster zones and know which buyer type will work best in that cluster zone. So now you know if you can pay more than what they actually want for the property, because the buyer you're targeting, no one else is going after. And I know this sounds complicated, but we'll talk more about it on the 19th on how those get structured. But the goal for you to understand is that you're not just looking for cash buyers when you're doing it the new way that we teach it, right? You're focusing first on the different buyer pools and then targeting your segmentation to those buyer pools. And only one of them is a cash buyer pool. Look, believe this, you can wholesale a deal to a financed buyer. And people go, what? Wait a minute, that wasn't in that book I bought at Barnes and Nobles. Wait a minute, that wasn't on YouTube University. Right? No, but it's true. I mean, I know this is why I got to have more time with you, right? So I already know. But once we have that, now we can drill down into what we call heat mapping. And this tells us where the flow of buyers go. But the beauty of all this is done from a laptop wherever you want to be. That is the beauty of this model. This doesn't require me to go out and look at houses and knock on doors and go, oh, it smells like money. Like, I've got 12 rehabs going right now. I haven't walked on a single one of them. Like, I haven't been on one of them, not one. I don't want to go. If I'm going to that rehab, then that means my business is wrong. That's my opinion on it. Now, remember, it's all perspective. Some people want to go to every single one. I don't. I have no desire to, because I'd have to drag my kids with me, and you'd have to know my son. Next thing I know, I'd have a nail in the side of my head probably. So we're just going to stay away from that. I have to get a little rider policy with Geico, but we'll be good. So, but the beauty is understanding this model right here. Now, here is where it really started getting crazy, and it will for you too. Once you dial this model in and you see how easy it really is from a laptop going anywhere you go, it will become very abundant for you, and you'll find yourself overworking. Hear me when I say this. You'll find yourself overworking. The intention is not that, but as human nature, we all move into what's called the technician stage. So if you've never read this book, please go get it. It's called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Please, please, please read that book. It talks about the why and owners, operators get stuck. And it's same thing will happen. You'll start running all the deals. You'll start analyzing everything. You'll start doing all things. You won't put automation in place. And that's why Saturday, we're going to talk a lot about automation after lunchtime on Saturday. And this is where it hit me again. I'll never forget, my second mentor said this to me. I was working with her, and she was a rock star and a half. Like, we called her the silent killer because you never saw her coming. But she sat me down one day and she said, Zach, you never build a business with the idea you're going to keep it forever. She said, you build a business with the idea that you're going to sell it one day, even if you never actually do. And that hit me because I was building the business all around me. What was I not doing? I wasn't building a duplicatable process, right? I was not putting the process in place to create the freedom, to create the lifestyle, to create the systems that I could bring people in and take over. The automation. I was not doing that. And man, I'll never forget, she hit me dead in the face. And I remember I looked back at my business. I said, look, she asked me one question, and I challenge all of you on this, those of you that have business or you're starting real estate. She said, Zach, can you walk away from your business right now for 90 days on a vacation and come back and it's still running? I said, no, I couldn't. And that was when reality started sinking in. I had done all the things my first mentor had taught me. I'd built this business. I'd pivoted. I'd found the 4 different buyers, the segmentation, all the clustering. I'd done all the right things to get me out of the masses and get me in my own world, doing my own thing, making millions of dollars a year from the comfort of my home. But what I had failed to do was identify it was a business and put the systems in place. And so I had to go back. No, this was the painful part. I had to go back and redo everything to get me out of the equation. And so, but fortunate, I'm fortunate that I did, because then it gave me the freedom, right? It really, truly gave me the freedom to do what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted it, travel, do all the things. I mean, do me and my kids, I don't think they even realize how lucky they are. It's like, oh, you want to go? So, all right, let's grab a plane. Let's go. Right. Like, they don't understand. Daddy grew up in a trailer park with a single mom on food stamps, really. Right. It's just different for their world because of real estate systems, processes, business. I own 10 companies. Right. I mean, it's not just real estate that I do, but it's all because I've led with this process. And just so you guys know who I keep talking about, these are my kids. Yes, that's my love and my pain all at the same time. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. But that is where it's at. But the goal that I say this is because I want you guys to understand that this is doable for you. And these 3 steps that I'm in the, I think 2 or 3 more slides, these 3 steps that I break down are what you've got to get laser focused on. Okay. You have to get laser focused on these, because just like Timmy said, retirement doesn't scare me anymore. Think of that word, retirement. How many times does that scare people, right? She said, hey, Zach, it's Timmy. I wanted to let you know, I have such great news for you. I just closed here. Listen to this now. I just closed a deal following your system. It is for the amount of $40,000. Yes, you heard me right. That's $40,000 in one deal. I didn't use any of my money or use my credit. What you're teaching is just perfect and it works. I made more money using your strategy than I have in a whole year, all because we helped her pivot. That was it. Get away from the cash buyers and let me show you a whole nother world out here. She said, because of your willingness to help others, I'm really able to have those dreams finally come true. Retirement doesn't scare me anymore. I want to share one more before I get into the 3 secrets. And this is from Ian. He said, Zach, thanks for coming into my life. You're amazing at how you break down the information so easy that anyone, it should say, can follow to be successful. If I was to speak to someone about working with you, I would tell them Zach's the last person you'll ever need to work with. He's changed my life in so many ways, and I'm on a true path of financial freedom. For me, that's another reason why I show up and do these, why I go to my REIA every single month, why I put on beginner boot camps at my REIA. It's why. That's it for this. So, all right, let's get a clean sheet of paper. I'm going to break down. You've been hearing me talk about cluster zones and all these things. So I'm going to break some of this down for you. Okay. These are our 3 secrets. Secret number 1, we're going to be talking about why you're probably not doing the right investing strategy for the need of the current market cycle. You heard me. What the market cycle we're in is a cash grab cycle. Not only is it a cash grab cycle. So what's cash grab? Rehabbing, wholesaling. That's cash grab. Let's be real clear on that. Okay. What are we preparing to go into, which is known as the slide, or also the denial period, because people deny it at first, but it's known, we call it the slide. You've got to prepare for that, and not just wholesaling traditionally, but you got to prepare on how to pivot your wholesaling model to the other buyer types. Okay. Market cycle, and the market cycle that's coming up, and how to position yourself for those huge profits. Okay. And how to do more deals than you can actually start dreaming of, even when everybody else is closing their businesses down and running out because they didn't learn what you learned. Now, number 2 that I'm going to be talking about is how to clone. Hear me. How to clone someone else's $1 million real estate business so that you can execute your very first perfect deal without knowing what you're doing. Okay. And then number 3, I'm going to talk to you guys about pinpointing exactly where these cluster zones are. I'm going to give you a real quick overview, a free way you can do it tonight. And then Saturday, I'm going to dig in, not just the cluster zone, but the zip code matrix, how we build the strategies out. But we're going to talk about that and how you can start eliminating these competitions by knowing these 4 buyer types. Okay. So secret number 3. Now, just to be clear, I want you to write this link down on the screen. Okay. SJREI.org. Write that down somewhere, or just stick it in your other browser or on your phone. SJREI.org/bootcamp. Okay. It's very important that you come to this. Remember, I've got a little bit of time to get through all this to cover the surface of it, really. I want you to come to boot camp. There's no charge for that. But also at the end, I will talk to you about how you can plug into a course that teaches all this. but come to this boot camp because I'm coming back for a full day and you can go ahead and get this thing registered. So we're going to talk more about this stuff in detail and all the automation. There's a ton that I'll have more time to teach on. So, but secret number one is why you're probably not doing the right investing strategy for the need of the current market. And the number one way to blow past everybody. Remember this, okay? We're in a cash grab market cycle. If you are not focused on wholesaling and rehabbing right now, you are losing out on the market we're currently in. Let me be very clear on that. I hope you heard that, okay? We are in a cash grab market. Yes, that's supposed to be 21. I'm sorry. I hit a 0 instead of a 1 somehow. So just forgive me on that. But we are coming into the next pivotal market, which is also wholesaling, but please write this note down on your paper. Not traditional wholesaling. It's not cash buyer wholesaling. It is the pivot into the other 4 buyer types, okay? That's why I'm saying we need to know where we are and where we're going, and you needed to be deploying the right strategy. So if you say to me, but Zach, I just want to rehab. Well, great. You need to learn this strategy that we're talking about, quick cash wholesaling, to become an acquisition specialist, okay? So that these leads can get generated. And here's the best part. The leads start coming from a completely different area. You're pulling them out of segments and you're able to get what we call micro targeted versus I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I mail 4,000 people. I'm like, great. For what reason? Well, I'm looking for a deal. Well, how do you even know the deal is in an area that you want, or much less, how do you know what strategy needs to be deployed to that lead that comes through? Well, I'm just looking for deals. Well, exactly. That's my point. You really don't know what you're looking for. Somebody told you to do marketing and you did. When we can micro down, we cannot, I mean, look, my direct mail campaigns, instead of mailing 4,000 people all in one, I might mail 4,000 people, but it's 10 different campaigns because we're narrowing down to what's called micro direct response marketing in these little micro areas, because we know that segmentation, we know that cluster, we know the pain, we know the buyer, we know the obstacles they're going through, and then we're communicating to them at that level, which creates a higher conversion rate. Now, when I started looking at this, and I started realizing where new investors were making the biggest mistake, which was the idea that they were not doing the right thing, or they were all chasing the same lead types. They needed to dial in their lead flow. They needed to have a higher conversion rate by understanding this. That was when the light bulb went off for me. And that was when I started realizing they don't understand that there's more buyers for them. And that's when the pieces started coming together. And I said, you know what? It's all about the buyers they're going after. They need to get clear on this. So let's write these down real quick. So yes, you have traditional, okay, which is a quick cash strategy, right? Traditional is just normal cash buyer wholesaling. Then you have what's called partnering wholesaling, which these are partner type quick cash buyers, which are also known as like co-wholesaling type buyers, which we'll talk a lot more about that on Saturday as well. I'll actually walk you through every one of these strategies on Saturday. I have a whole flow chart and how they all work and everything. We also have what's called option control. Now, the beauty of an option control wholesale type strategy is I don't even need the buyer to have money. Like, did you hear me? Like, I don't even need the buyer to have money. I don't even need the house at a discount for me to make quick cash on these option controls. And then we have the financed buyers. Now, the beauty of this is you guys will love this. This whole strategy got created from a First American title company in Walnut Creek, California. I went to 13 title companies trying to get them to give me a document that would allow me to wholesale to a finance buyer. And every one of them said no. Even the First American title company in Sacramento and the First American title company in Vacaville. But then I went to the one in Walnut Creek and met with a lady named Megan. And she's like, well, let me talk to the attorneys. That was like, oh, I got somebody, like somebody wants to listen to me. And they came back with this document that I'm going to share with you guys on Saturday, which changed the entire game for me. It changed everything. It allowed me to pivot and work with a whole new buyer type that everybody else wasn't working with, and really restarted my whole entire wholesaling business. So just like what Martin said out in Vallejo, he said, Zach, I just want to let you know how things are going. You make this so easy to follow. Your process is very easy to start making money fast. It was only 3 days after I started putting the marketing out there, I got my first deal and closed it in 2 weeks. He said, I've been doing everything you teach, sending the marketing out, phone rings off the hook. I'm pulling down 7 deals a month right now. Vallejo, California. Now, Martin, he's from the Czech Republic. And he said, if I can do this, anyone can do this. And that's a strong statement if you were ever to be on the phone with him. And so, but it all goes back to that pivot, doing what others aren't doing, right? So let's talk about number 3. And there again, there's the domain, WJREI.org/bootcamp. This is where I'm going to be going more into this, which is how do you clone someone else's $1 million real estate business? Broad question, right? How do you clone that? Well, number one, you got to plug into their system. Like that's number one. Most people that have a high net worth business or net worth themselves with a high performing business, I guarantee you they have processes, they've documented it just like we have with all of our quick cash stuff. Because why? When we hire someone, we hand them the training and we say, this is what you need to do. And same thing with our students that come on board with us. And so you're going to see me dig a little bit deeper into our process of our business, all the different wholesaling strategies we break down, the automation, all the things that we put in place at the boot camp, because I got a little bit more time to do it there. So if you want to clone $1 million business, then be at the boot camp. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. But let's talk about secret number 3. And this is where we get into how to pinpoint within minutes where investors are buying in your town and what type of deal they're buying and who's buying it. Okay. So this is where I wish I had 3 hours with you. Because this is the part I get 1,000 questions on. So, but let's walk you through this and kind of help you get a little bit of clarity on this. Okay. Because when you start looking at what we call cluster zones, yes, we have software that allows us to do it at a much deeper and larger level, right? I'm not here to talk to you guys about our platform, our software. Now, don't get me wrong. I do want to talk to you about our training and our course here in a little bit, because I think you guys need it and you'll be shocked at what I've done for you guys. But I'm going to show you right now how you could actually do some of this clustering just using Zillow, so that you can just start pinpointing neighborhoods around you or even in other markets, so that you can get real clear when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your process, when it comes to what we call the affordability range. Please write that down real quick. Affordability range is probably one of the best things that you can target when you're doing what's called market research, to know where, how, and when. Write this down. I'm going to share this with you real quick. So when we're going in to cluster a market, the first thing we need to know is what is the average sales price for the city? Write that down. The average sales price for the city. Now here's number 2. I think I have this bullet point out, but if not, I'll go over it again with you. So number 2 is this. You need to break down every zip code in that city, and you need to identify the average sales price for that city. Okay. Now also let me say this. All data, I own a data company, and I can tell you as a data provider for other people, I own a software company too. Even data has a variance, okay? No data is 100%. And you know what the variance is? Human error. That's the variance, right? Because the data that we're looking for is based on average sales price, which was put in by what? A human, right? Through a contract. It was either in the MLS or some other service. So there's always variances. So the reason I'm sharing this with you is because when you go to do what we call data aggregation, pick one source, and pull all your data from one source. Write that down. Because if not, if you pull a little bit from Trulia, some from Redfin, some from Zillow, and some from the MLS, what happens is your variance gets so wide because all of them are different. You got to pick one and get all your data from one variance, okay? And that way you minimize the variance of where you're going to be off at. So we want to know the average sales price for zip code. We want to know the average sales price for the city. What this does for us is it creates our targeted, known as an avatar in industry language. I mean, obviously, if you know the definition of avatar, that has nothing to do with this, but in industry language, that's what it stands for, who we're going to target, which is the affordability range. Okay. So let's say you're targeting, I don't know, maybe you can help me, San Jose. The average sales price in San Jose, I'm going to assume is somewhere around 600,000, maybe. I might be way off, but $1.2 million. I mean, who knows what the average sales price is over there now. In my market, you guys would be shocked. In my market, it's 315,000, right? Like, holy moly, right? But my point, 2 million. Oh my word. Oh my word. So let me explain what that means. Boy, you guys could buy a bunch of houses over here. So what that means is this. That means that the average person in that market affordability range is right in that 2 million mark. That's what that means. Now, the only caveat that you got to be careful with is what's the average loan on these, right? Like, let's go back to 2004 through 2007. The reason people were buying $2 million homes is because they were going on these teaser loans. So they couldn't afford it, right? It was a false affordability range because they were going on 1% teaser loans. I would just double check on that and see what the loans are. I mean, are they good, decent, solid loans? And if they are, then that is your affordability range. That's the target. And so that's where we build our clustering at inside of those so that we can pin those down. Now, what else it does for us is it allows us to start identifying a few other things, where these clusters are at, and we can build out our matrix to know who's the buyer type. So write this down for me too. In each zip code, you need to know how many units were sold, meaning doors, in the last 12 months. From there, you need your agent to help you identify, out of those units sold, how many of them sold to a financed buyer and how many of them sold to a cash buyer. This is all data extraction from the MLS. If your agent says they don't know how to do it, there's a beautiful thing called the MLS customer support line, and they will be happy to walk them through that. We need those numbers. We need them. We absolutely need them, because it helps us identify the strategy and who the buyer quality is and where we're going to go in there. And that's how we can do this nationally. Listen, I sit at home and invest all over. I mean, I'm still doing deals in Vallejo, California. We just did some in Sacramento. We're in Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Nebraska. We just did some up in New Jersey. And I do it right here from this laptop. And here's why. I don't need to go to the market. I just go find my cluster zones. I can then extract the buyers for those cluster zones, and I can then start my marketing and wholesale deals to buyers that the rest of the wholesalers aren't targeting. And in my market, I'm acquiring most of them myself. So I don't do a whole lot of wholesaling in my market because I am my own buyer here. But in other markets, man, that's all we do in those markets is wholesale. I mean, I've got, just last month alone in Tennessee, we did 17 deals in Tennessee alone. So I'm telling you guys, it's a game changer when you understand how to pivot through this, this process. So I did have my bullet points in here for you. So here's a little bit what so step one, find the average price of the homes being sold in that area. Number one, if you guys didn't write it down the first time. Okay. Now, number two is you want to start searching the city's zip codes in that price range, right? So which zip codes fall inside that price range? Now, I'm also a big fan of this. We're going to talk a little bit more about this on Saturday on what's called market tiers. So you have a tier one market, which would be San Jose. Then you have a tier 2 market, which for us, it's a 30-minute cycle outside of that market. Then you have a tier 3 market, which is an hour market outside of that, right? And then we have what's called isolated markets. We're heavily investing right now in tier 3 and isolated markets. That's where we've pushed into. We were heavy in tier 1, but the competition got so fierce that we went into tier 2s, then we went into tier 3s, and now we're doing tier 3s in isolated markets just because it's easier for us. Now, I still do them in tier 1s just because, you know, they sell so quickly. And if I can get them, I want to buy them fast. But just so that you're aware, when you're doing this research, don't just pigeonhole yourself to just one city. The goal is market share, right? That's if you talk to any business entrepreneur or acquisition and merger guy, they're going to tell you it's market share. How do you gain more market share? Well, you get out of your city. You start looking at other cities. You start branching out. You start buying in other markets. You start finding out where you have a friend, an uncle, an aunt, a nephew, a cousin. What market are you in? Oh, well, look, I'm studying this course. Let's work it together in your market. You start teaming up, do partnership, quick cash deals, which is one of the 4 strategies, right? So it's really understanding how to acquire more market share in your business model. Now, step number 3 is select the sold only properties, okay, in the menu. So if you go to Zillow, pull the menu down, select sold only solds, okay? That's all we're looking for because that's what's going to help us narrow down the price point to the average of the area and the zip code to create that affordability range and then start to give you guys some quick looks at what we call cluster zones, okay? Now, once you've done that, I want you to filter your search to single families, condos, and townhouses only when it says property type. That's all I want you to do, okay? That way you get rid of all the other stuff and you're only focused in on what actually we like to go out, buy, flip, or rent. And then number 5, filter that data range for the last 12 months. And if it's too much, then move that down to 6 months. And that way you'll filter out some of that clustering and get a more crystal clear identity of the neighborhoods in which you're going to be able to do this market and this strategy the best in. Now, the beauty of that is once you've done that, now we can start moving into those markets and we can start extracting the buyer types that are buying in each one of those cluster zones. And what it does for us is it changes the game. Now there's no more guesswork. Now we've got our matrix, we've got our cluster zones, we've extracted the buyers. So now we know exactly which zip code are which buyers in which zip code we need to target. And then we lean heavy on the other 3 quick cash strategies. Yes, don't get me wrong. I still will work with cash buyers, but they're just not a primary model for me because it's so, I mean, everybody's over there working with them. We like to go against the grain a little bit, and it's made me very profitable over the years to go against the grain and not do what everybody else is doing. You know, look, there's no saying that says, look, they'll call you crazy at first and then they'll ask you to teach them later. And that's what happens when you go against the grain. They go, well, that's not what everybody else is doing. And I'm like, exactly. That's why I'm doing it. Right? I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. I want to do something different, make my own money over here before all of you come over this way. And so that's why we call it the extraction part of the buyers. You're extracting out the buyers to identify which buyer type out of the 4 are in each zip code so that you can prepare your strategy for that. But what else it does is it cuts your cost tremendously. Like tremendously, this thing's going to cut your cost. If you're worried about doing marketing because you're afraid you don't have enough marketing dollars, then don't worry. Your cost is slashed by doing this strategy. And on the other side, it's going to make you a better investor because then when you start doing the pinwheel and you go after all the free leads, and you're on the phone with them, all you're going to do is ask one question. Listen to me when I say this. This changes everything for my students. What zip code's it in? That's it. What zip code's it in? They go, oh, it's in 35810. Well, immediately they've got their matrix up. They know, oh, 35810, I have to do this strategy because that's the buyer I'm going after. So they're already ahead of the game. Write this down somewhere on a sheet of paper. Whenever you're in communication with a seller, the person with the most facts wins. The person with the most facts wins. Okay. So when you already know what your exit is on that deal, before that seller has even told you about the property, then you know how to talk to the seller and move that conversation towards that pivot. Versus I've just got to go after a cash buyer. So I got to get the seller to take as low as they can go. Plus I got to get my assignment fee off of that thing. That's not the name of the game. The name of the game is, where am I going to go with this? What's the exit? Once you know the exit, then I can have the conversation up front. Like, look, if I was talking to Mark, I'm going to pick on you, man. Your camera's right there open for me. So if I'm talking to Mark and Mark tells me he's in 35810, then I know that the target buyer for Mark is a financed buyer for me to sell that lead to, then I already know. I already know that I can pay more for Mark's house than any other wholesaler that comes through. Because I already know most wholesalers are taught to go after to wholesale to a cash buyer, and I already know their formula. So I'm going to Mark, and I'm going to break all this down on Saturday for you guys. It's in my course too. But I'm going to go to Mark and I'm going to beat every wholesaler, because I already know what I can buy. We have a strategy. We market to market. We say, hey, we'll pay you more. Call us last. That is our marketing. So when Mark calls me up and says, hey, I saw your advertising, I'm like, great. What's the highest offer you got? Well, I called you first. Great. I asked you to call me last. It's kind of funny, the psychology behind that marketing. But we even tell him to go get an offer. We say, well, go call one of those wholesalers and get an offer. Because it's called what we call a strike price. I'm going to dig deep into this on Saturday, guys. And so when Mark calls me back and Mark says, hey, I got an offer for $96,000 from this wholesale, I'm like, great, I'll give you $100. Mark's like, whoa, $100? Hey, okay. My point is it's not, you guys are seeing that it's hard out there because you're trying to do what everybody else is doing. The way you eliminate competition is you get smarter than them. You educate yourself, do things they're not doing. And I promise you, they'll call you crazy at first, and then they'll come ask you how you're doing it. I promise you. Now, that's up to you if you want to tell them or not. But, you know, I mean, that's why I like teaching you guys in California. You're not in my market. I'm all for teaching people in California and other states. So, but look, I mean, I could go on hours about all these different strategies and how great they'll pivot. Just like what Rick said. He said, Zach is full of great information, but it was market segmentation that would prove to be the most valuable to me. It was this concept that helped us find a property that would be a great flip for quick cash. We followed his process just like he teaches in the training. And after we took control of the property for $195,000, we put it out to a buyer on Friday, had 2 offers on Sunday, and sold it for $245,000. So we pocketed $50,000 in net profit. Because of Zach and his teaching, I've just quit my job. Golly, I love that statement. And then here's Daryl Jones. Daryl's he's a real estate attorney. He was a politician for the state of Florida. He actually helped write a lot of the short sale laws that we know as of today when it comes to short sales. But here's something that he said to me. He said, Zach, you're a person that knows what's going on in the industry and you stay ahead of the power curve. You're absolutely amazing. And I recommend you to anyone that's in the real estate industry and is serious about getting things done. I say this, look, I don't say this to impress you. I share this to impress upon you that I might be just a guy living in Alabama, but I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to real estate investing, I am all in on it. I am a data crunching, segmentation, cluster zoning, non-competition investing machine. If you can say that 3 times fast. So I am all about it. And I have shared and taught some of the brightest people these concepts, because the reason that it's important is because look, the market is flooded with these ABC, find a deal, find a cash buyer. Guys, that's what I told you in the very beginning of this. My goal here today is not to teach you guys how to do traditional wholesaling, which we will talk about it on Saturday. My goal is to open your mind and realize there's other ways to do it that your competition's not doing it, and we can eliminate them. We can pay more for the properties. We can make more in assignment fees because they won't know what you guys are going to learn, either A, through the course I have, or B, by the training on Saturday. And so you got to get real clear on that, okay? Just like Vicky, she said, I was marketing all wrong. I love it when I get these stories. She said, Zach, you're way ahead of everyone else when it comes to marketing. I was struggling to find good deals, but after getting your training and following your direction on marketing, I was not only able to start getting deals, but I'm getting deals that no one else is getting. I just got this deal that I made $21,000 as a quick flip fee from a private seller. And I was the here, listen, I was the only person talking to him. You're the best. Imagine that feeling. How many of you right now are making offers on properties and there's like 8,200 properties or offers on it, right? It's like, can I just get a break? Look, write this down. There's level 1, there's level 2. Please, somebody write down. Just make me feel like you're listening to me. So there's level 1, there's level 2. Okay. Level 1 is surface level deals. That's through the MLS. You're not going to have any luck with that. Maybe 1 or 2. Level 2 is when you go below the MLS and you start digging up deals direct to sellers. You start working that next level to acquire the problem solving. Remember, we're real estate investors, entrepreneurs. You know what we do? We solve problems. That's what we do. That's how we get paid. The bigger the problem we solve, the more money we make. Like it's not a lay down market anymore. When the market turns and all the foreclosures hit the market and the inventory goes up to 8 months of inventory, yeah, we're in a lay down market then. We can just sit back and pick them off the MLS again. But that's not where we are, right? You got to pivot. You got to make it happen. So $21,000 check. Oh, Vicky, love her. She's a great one. This is what you want to eliminate right here, okay? You want to eliminate this, being in the same pond as everybody else, fishing for the exact same fish and hearing all the stories. Well, I caught a great big one in here once in my life, but I don't know where it is now. That's what everybody else is doing. You want to get out of that pond. You want to get in your own pond. You want to get away from all of them. You want to be like Roger. He said, I just wanted to show you the assignment check. The fat lady sings, he said. P.S. I left money on the table for the investor, but the rehabber is anxious to get my next deal, as well as the other rehabbers that didn't act quickly. Now, imagine getting a $20,000 check right before Christmas. Here's what you don't know about Roger. He's got 5 kids. 5 kids. I mean, imagine that, right? Right before Christmas, get hit with $20,000, 5 kids. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Like that is a beautiful thing. If you really, if you throw real estate out the window, just imagine walking home before Christmas with a $20,000 check. Boy, I bet you those kids got everything they wanted that year. But when you start to really narrow this down, guys, buyers will be fighting over who's going to pay you more for the deal, really. And it's because and here's the other reason I want to emphasize this finance buyer. Most finance buyers, when they meet a wholesaler, the wholesaler tells them they can't work with them. It's just facts. It's just facts. They say, are you a cash buyer? No, I'm getting financing. Wholesaler goes the other way. Because the wholesaler is taught what? Go find a cash buyer to wholesale to. So when you find them and you say, yeah, I can wholesale with you, you just got to follow my process. They're like, really? Because here's why. Listen. It's like a secret. I can't have anybody know what I'm saying. I'm in my own house. I don't know why I'm whispering. My kids are still awake for some reason. They're like, Daddy's in a meeting. Woohoo! Let's eat some sugar. But here's my point. When you learn this wholesaling to a finance buyer, it changes the game for the investor buyer because now they don't have to pay you your assignment fee. It gets rolled into the loan. Did you hear me on that? So now their cash on cash return, their ROI goes way up because they're not coming out of pocket money for these deals. They just roll it into the loan. I'm telling you guys, it's a game changer. That's why I put a course together on it. That's why I'm going to be teaching on it on Saturday. You do not want to miss this on Saturday. I'm telling you, if you know somebody that wasn't on this meeting, you need to tell them to be here. If you know somebody from Seattle or Oregon or Montana, you need to tell them to be here, because they're going to be surprised at what they'll learn on Saturday. So, but at the end of the day, look, I want to just kind of get to the core of where we're going with this. I'm out there in the field doing exactly what I teach. I couldn't be the president of my REIA for 12 years and have coaching students locally and do what I do. I'm on TV. Yes, I'm one of those guys who run TV commercials. I'm in this business, right? Like I am in this business on a daily basis in this business. And I'm sharing that with you because I don't worry about the competition because they're not doing what I'm doing. And that's the message to you guys is they're not going to do what you're doing either. And so you got to remember, success leaves clues. Hear me when I say this. You need to follow a system that's been proven by others. Number one, write that down. Number two, successful people invest in themselves. It's just inevitable. You're not going to learn it through osmosis. I promise you. You're not going to lay down and wake up and all of a sudden have 10 years of experience under you. You have to be willing to put the time and the resources in yourself to get where you want to be. That's just facts. And timing is everything in business. I mean, look, I commend all of you on a Tuesday being here on this. Like, that's huge. That says a lot about how, crazy entrepreneurs we all are together, right? Like we're always wanting to learn, right? We want to learn. We want to be better. We want to grow. We want to go to the next level. And so I 100% appreciate that entrepreneurial spirit in you. But you got to remember, timing is everything. You're here for a reason, okay? Lori brought me here for a reason, and I'm blessed that she has me here to share my message with you guys. And you also got to remember this. This is the time right now. If you haven't started, you need to be in it. If you're starting and you're struggling, you need to dial in acquisitions. You've got to, which I call it acquisitions. It's also wholesaling. I mean, wholesaling is acquisitions, right? And so I just speak from the terminology of what wholesaling is going to teach you how to do, right? And so you need to be clear on that. And that's why I'm here to tell you, you have two ways, right? We have our boot camp, and then I also have a course that will help you dial all this in as well. So, but let me share this with you. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Think about that one. Now, Einstein, he's a pretty smart fella in our world over here, as we say, smart fella. That's a Southern way of saying he's an intelligent man. So put a little laughter in there. Hopefully you guys have had some fun with me. I know I cut up a lot, but look, I can't hear you laugh, so I have to laugh so I hear me laugh. I miss live events. I mean, it's just the way it is, so my kids around the corner giggle. So as long as I hear them, they're like, there's Zach, dad saying some dumb thing again. So you ought to be in my house for a little bit. We have a lot of fun. I'm the dad that goes in their bathroom and hides in the vanity cabinet. So when they come to brush their teeth, I jump out at them. Like that's me all day long. Like I'm all about having fun, but here's the reason why. I mean, look, I make money when I sleep. So like, why would I not enjoy it? Right. So I just want you to think about this, guys. Like you got to start solving the problem. If you're struggling, I want to help you. I really do. If you're brand new, please let me help you. Please let me help you get started on the right path. And like I said, you got two choices. Really, you got three, honestly, but you got two right now. One is take the notes from this meeting. Hopefully I've shed some light on some new ways of looking at acquisition and wholesaling and go down your path and hopefully you make big changes. Or the second one is follow me and do the things I'm doing. Learn from me. Take that step and say, you know what? Let me spend some time with this guy and see what he's got and what he's doing and how he's teaching it. And let me implement some of this. Remember, that's the big part. Implement. And that's what this is really about. And so I've done that in two ways for you guys tonight. Number one is obviously we're going to meet again on Saturday, the 19th, which is right before Father's Day, which is awesome. My best day of the year. But also I've put it in a very, or I guess you could say simplistic course for you guys too, so that you can go through it and learn the clustering effect, learn the marketing, learn the cycle process, learn the segmentation, learn the different ways to do quick cash. And so I've put it in that. And so I want to, if you guys are okay, I want to spend the next 5 minutes just kind of walking you through what's included in that. Give me a thumbs up if you're okay with that right there. Yes. Thank you, Ty. Thank you. All right, cool. So we call it our quick cash fortune system, just because it is a system. That's exactly what it is. And so it breaks down into 7 key components. Number one is there's it walks you through the 4 different ways to do quick cash, the 4 different buyer types. It goes through setting up your quick cash business, picking the right markets. This is the module 3, which is all on segmentation and cluster zoning. It goes into how we find the seller trainings, how we negotiate and analyze the deals from afar, how we do it from home, how we find the different buyers, and then the contracts and closing. So like I said, the module number 1 is all 4 of the different wholesaling quick cash strategies. Literally, it's all broken down into flow charts, diagrams. It lays it all out. Module number 2 is the quick cash business. What you need to have in place to do it from home, how you do it virtually, what are the fundamentals, what do you need set up? All of that's inside of there. Number 3 is the segmentation. This is the one, it seems like everybody jumps to this one before they do the rest of them. But this is where we spend the whole time on the whole segmentation. Then from segmentation, zip code matrix, then from zip code matrix to clustering, then from clustering, how we research for what's called market growth so that we know how to find these isolated markets. Module 4 is all about the seller leads. This is where do we get them? How do we know who they are? Where are they at? How we look for level 2 and level 3 seller leads. Module 5 is getting into the analyzation of it, running comps, ARVs. We have platforms that plug into the MLS, so we don't actually even call an agent to pull our CMA reports. We go through what's called online due diligence and offline due diligence. Now, module 6 is all about the buyers. We spend a ton of time on where these 4 types of buyers are at, how you find them, how you market to them, the scripts, everything you go through them. Module 7 is getting it closed, but more importantly, getting it closed virtually. How do you close it from the comfort of your home? How do you set up these processes and systems? How do you set up, a closing coordinator? How do you put these people in place so that you don't do anything? I mean, I have an acquisition side of my business. I have a disposition side. I have a closing coordinator. Once it's done, it goes to the closing coordinator. She handles everything. I'm hanging out in Dollywood or Six Flags or at the pool. So look, I'm telling you guys, if I could figure this out, all you need is some step-by-step processes and you'll figure it out. I promise you. And once you figure it out, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have started doing this years ago, just like I did. So, great story. Brian and Steven said it's been a heck of a journey this far. It took us 6 months. I love this. And several gurus to find Zack and his team the real deal. Because I don't call myself a guru, by the way. They are truly dedicated to helping others. We were down to our very last funds for our REI business, and we were very skeptical, of course, which everybody should be, but we felt it was right and took the leap of faith and turned out to be the best decision ever. Oh, this was the first guy that I ever taught, and he was in Benicia, California. Chased me forever at the local REIA wanting me to coach him, and I wouldn't, and finally I did. Best decision I ever made me realize how much I loved helping people. But I had that scarcity mindset back then. Anyways, he went on to say that he was brand new, and he said, I've quickly flipped over 6 properties, totaling $40,000 in profits. This is amazing. I currently have 22 properties under contract. Money's no longer an issue in my everyday life. Now, he was 21 years old. Fast forward today, he used real estate as a pivot to move him into the video and music industry. And now he lives in LA and he does high-end video music shoots. So whatever real estate is for you, always remember that why, right? His why was the music industry. He used real estate to get to that pivot. So just like Jill, God, you gotta love her story. She did 4,020 minutes. Take that to the bank, guys. 4,020 minutes. She went on to say it was the very first week I implemented the training. I put a property under contract and sold my rights to that contract in 20 minutes for $4,000. I mean, I made it. I have 16 rentals now, which she used wholesaling to buy rental properties. That was her why. She pivoted using it into that. Anyway, she ended by saying, I tell everyone I see that if you're interested in real estate investing, you have to learn from Zack Childress. He's the best. Love it. I mean, she beat my record. I made 5,000 in 2 days. She did 4,020 minutes. I'm waiting on one of my students to beat that record. That was pretty impressive. So who's this for? Brand new investors that are looking for an easy way. If you've been trying it and you're having a hard time, if you're out there and you're just not finding good deals, it's for you. If you're looking to quit your job, but don't want to start with rehabbing and you just want to make some quick cash, this is for you. And if you're tired of all the BS, point blank, this is absolutely do this, do this, do this, and do this. It is a model proven. Okay. And if you're looking for a proven system, that's where it falls at. Okay. And at the end of the day, I'd really just want you guys to break that shackle that's holding you back, honestly. So we know what's coming in. So the course is all about quick cash fortunes. We call it a master class because that's what it is. But on top of that, I'm going to throw in, we call it our REI lead bot. It's literally a software. You just plug in the websites, you put the keywords in, and it emails you. It even texts you leads every single day that come through. So that software we actually do put out on the market for $2,000, but I'm just going to kick it in for you guys today. So, all right. I'm going to throw in all my marketing kits, everything that has to do with marketing, all my letters, samples, scripts, postcards, flyers. You'll get it all. You'll also get all my contracts and scripts so that you know how to talk to the buyers and the sellers. And you're going to get my 10X direct mail system. This is hands down one of the fastest ways for you guys to implement this process and get paid. So on top of that, I'm going to throw in my accelerated profits partnering. Now listen, get your ears ready. Remember when I said in the very beginning of this, like almost an hour and a half ago, 40 minutes ago, when I said we believe in learn and earn at the same time? Well, that's why I'm here. Okay. This is it. My Partner With Me program. Okay. So how does this work? Well, we want you to do deals with us. Like, honestly, that's what we lean on that a lot. So if you plug into the system, you use the training, you go out and find deals. We have a database of over 200,000 investors nationwide and internationally. We like to do what's called partner wholesaling. So you find a deal using our training, you bring it in through our simple deal submission platform. It's all automated. We put a buyer on it. We'll split the deal with you. If we make 20 grand on it, I'll give you 10, we keep 10, and we go to the next deal together. Does that sound fair? Thumbs up, 50-50 splits on deals. Yes. Look, some people are like, no, I don't know if I'm going to give you any. Now, I get it. You don't have to do any deals with me. I just throw it in there because some people like to get started, because honestly, most people don't keep doing it. Like they use it to get started. They make, 3 or 4 or 5 deals. They make some money. Then they're building their own buyers list at that time. And so then they're like, well, why am I going to give you, I already got my own buyers, but it helps you get started. And we like doing deals. So that one we'll put it out there. We won't bottleneck our company. So we limit the amount of people that come through it, but I'm also going to give you a little bit of some training on thinking like a millionaire, especially from someone who came from nothing, how I had to change, how I had to put habits in place and create the process that I was going. If you add all that up, it's a lot if you a la carted it, but don't worry. Watch what I'm about to do for you guys. I'm also going to throw in where to get the money, because some of you are going to use acquisitions to actually buy deals, and you're going to need access to all the different types of funding. I'm going to show you 9 different sources where you can literally get funding to buy it, get funding to rehab it, and get funding for your down payment to buy these houses. It's pretty cool. There's zero money out in this training. Okay. And on top of that, we have a private Facebook group. This is a great community you'll get invited to. And also our association. This is a monthly training. This is our National Real Estate Association. So every month we're dropping videos and training, teaching you how to do this business. Okay. We do Q&A calls. It's a pretty cool thing. And you get them weekly and you get them monthly. So, and you get free access to that if you want to stay in it. So here's the deal, guys. We do a hard copy of this. People order it from our office every single week, $14.95. I actually looked at this and said to myself, look, if you guys will take the digital version, if you'll say, look, I'm good logging in, watching the videos, downloading the documents, then I'm actually going to do this for $3.95 for you guys. Yes, you heard me right. You take the digital, you'll get it for $3.95. If you want the physical copy, let Lori know. We'll be happy to, charge you the $14.95 and ship it out to you. But I'm doing it here right now because the world's virtual, right? And so you guys are out in San Jose. I'm here. All you got to do is go right to this site right here, right now, SJREI.org/QCF. You can grab this whole training for literally mind-blowing $395. Like, and you better not be telling everybody about that. So, so that's between us and you guys that are on here with me. $395, you're going to get that entire kit that I just showed you on there. You got 3 doors right now. You can keep doing what you've always done. Hope you got different results. You can take the notes from this training and try your best, or you can get the course. Just like Patty did. All you got to do is go to that link, guys. You can go there, get access to this training, and I promise you, you're going to love what you're going to go through. I promise you. For $395, I mean, that's a no-brainer. And on top of that, I'm going to leave you with this quote. The best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you will earn. And at the end of the day, Les Brown said it best. And he said, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Love Les Brown. If you guys don't follow him, plug in, man. This guy gets me pumped up every time. So make a choice today, guys. And either one, you can either start with the course or you can see me at the boot camp. It's right there on the screen for you guys. I'm going to hang out for some questions coming through. I appreciate your time and everyone being here with me, but I will appreciate you even more if you already get into this course before Saturday so that you can already be consuming a lot of it. So when Saturday I start breaking down all the different 4 strategies, it's not going to be like a brick wall hitting you in the face. You're going to have some understanding to it, and you're going to be able to ask even more direct questions in regards to making your model work even faster. So I encourage you to get it, consume it all this next week. And then that way, when we meet again on Saturday, a week from this Saturday, at least you'll have a little bit of a higher understanding of what I'm going to be putting down on the table for everybody. So I always like that when people come prepared, and it starts with you and the choice that you make. So Lori, listen, I just want to thank you for giving me this time. I hope I wasn't all over the place for you.
No, it was fabulous. Amazing information here. So Zach, I just want to thank you for all the energy. I love your humor. I can just imagine you coming out of the vanity to the kids.
Hey, that is me to the core. Look, I've scared my daughter so many times. No matter where we go now, she always looks at the crack of the door. Because like I keep popping out of these doors. And I thought to myself, well, that was a good lesson to teach my daughter though. So now when she goes places, she's like, anybody behind that door?
Exactly. All right, people, I'm going to give you a minute to go ahead out to the website, register for the boot camp, order the QCF, and then also enter your questions for Zach in the chat. So go ahead and do that now. Go ahead out to those websites, get registered, order the QCF if you want it. I think I can't believe you're only doing that price. That is like.
I need people to kind of take that pivot. I mean, if prices and if people are like, oh, I don't want to pay $1,000, well, then that's eliminated now, right? Yeah. Like $395, there's no reason you couldn't get that.
It's an investment that will come back in spades. Obviously. Okay, so I think we already have one question. Jeff, do you want to do the questions out there?
I can't. Zach, I have a real quick question about the boot camp. What time does the boot camp end on Saturday? I think that's the 19th, right?
Great question. I think
it starts at 9. I know we should have that on the webpage.
It starts at 9 Pacific, and I think we were going to go till 4, but I don't know for sure.
I have it on my calendar.
Okay.
Give me one sec. Ask me a question. I'll circle back around to that one.
Right on. Okay. When wholesalers start targeting financing buyers, what's the difference? The typical real estate agent. Okay, hold on. Let me read that again. When wholesalers start targeting financial buyers, what is the difference between
that
wholesalers and real estate agents? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Big difference. And this is what Saturday is I have a whole flow chart on all this. So remember, we're not listing a property. Be very clear on that. We're not representing a buyer, which is what an agent does. So let's be super clear on that. Okay. We're actually negotiating the deal with the seller under acquisitions with the rights to have equitable interest in that contract. So remember that. Let me help you understand this too. Contract law, if you want to write this down, don't ever let anybody tell you any different. Contract law states all contracts are fully assignable unless otherwise stated not. That's contract law. And if you don't believe me, go get a contract from an attorney, and it'll always have a line in it that says what? This contract is non-assignable. Why does an attorney put this contract is non-assignable? Because they know what? Contract law states all contracts are fully assignable unless otherwise stated not. So we're negotiating as an acquisitions specialist, wholesaler, for a property with equitable interest in that contract. So we have the rights to sell that equitable interest to anybody that we want. If you notice, all my students, none of them say what? I sold a house. None of them say I have a house for sale. It was always what? I sold a contract. I sold my rights, because that's part of it. We're going to learn this on Saturday, is the do's and don'ts, what you can and what you can't say. What are the legal side of this business? Why are states like Ohio and Chicago changing the rules on wholesalers? And it all has to do with intention, which is part of this question, Jeff. And Saturday is going to be a lot on that. Like, how do you keep yourself safe? How do you assess your intention correctly? What is it you can and cannot say when you're doing this? And what is your actual rights? What do you have the right? You don't own the house. You don't have the right to sell a house. You have the right to sell your equitable interest. So when another buyer comes in, we structure it through what's known as a DOF, which allows us to be paid just like a lien position. Now, try going to a seller and say, hey, I'm gonna put a lien on your property. That don't work, right? But we structure it in a way that gives us those rights, so that therefore the buyer now doesn't invest in assignment fee, can roll it into the loan. The seller gets what they want, the buyer gets what they want, plus they don't have to come out of pocket for an assignment fee like a traditional wholesaler. But to be clear on that question, Jeff, so that I don't circle around it too many times, is that we are not an agent because it's our intention, and that we are positioning ourselves with equitable interest in a contract that we have the rights to sell.
Right on. I get that. Okay. Does anyone else have questions for Zach while we're in this last 10 minutes of the meeting?
All right. I've got this boot camp from 11 to 5.
Oops.
That's my time though.
Oh, that's your time. Okay, never mind. There you go.
That would be 11 to 3 your time.
Okay.
9 to 3. 9 to 3.
Yeah, I'm shortening it. I know it's 9 to 3. It would probably go till 3:30 because I hang out and I answer questions and all that. You could pretty much be sure you'll probably be out of there by 4 your time. So, all right, what you got for me, guys?
Other questions?
What comes the boot camp? Got that one. I have a question for Zach, please. Well, listen, you guys are like just being shy right now. I'm the wrong person to be around if you're a shy person.
They're participating. They're participating in the purchases and the registration right now. I'd say, because I'm looking at the back end, so that's what's going on.
Well, they're like, I'm gonna have all my questions on Saturday.
There you go. They're loading up. They're loading up
on the software, and they're going to come in ready for you.
Here's a question that some of you will be asking: is now I've got your course, what's next? Right? You haven't asked it yet, but I'm sure my customer support team will be getting that. So as they come through, which this will be tomorrow, I'll send all these into my office. I'll forward all the emails over. They'll start setting you up in the system. You should be getting welcome calls. Welcome emails that'll give you your login and passcode to your Quick Cash Fortune system. Okay. Now, also in that email, we'll have our number. We have live chat on all of our pages. So if you ever get to a page you need help, we have live chat on them. If you need to call us, the number will be in the email too. Lori has our number if you need to reach out to them for customer support, but it's on all of our pages. But more importantly, because we do have a brick and mortar, but we also have a lot of our people still working from home. That's why we have that live chat on every page now. We used to not have that, but that has worked amazing for our students, just to be able to hit the page, talk to somebody right there on it. And then here's the beauty: if they can't get it solved there, then they schedule a call, and you call in the office, or someone from the office picks up the phone and calls you. So and gets it worked out. So just know that. And so as soon as I start getting all this over to Jamie in the morning, you'll start probably get set up tomorrow. I say probably by lunchtime or something. And then, so check your emails. Sometimes you might have to check your spam email. You know how Google works these days. So just make sure you look around. And if you get to the end of the day tomorrow and you're like, hey, I still haven't gotten anything, just let Lori or Jeff know. We'll be happy to get on the phone and call you and figure out what's going on. So, because they can always reach out to us and say, hey, can you give Debbie a call, or can you give Mark a call? They still haven't gotten their email. And then Jamie she'll call you right away. So,
Oh, we aren't going to say it that nicely.
well, that's probably not true. And, but Jamie will call you very nicely. I promise. So I don't think Jamie could be mean. Yeah. So I got to tell you how many times I talk to a student, they're like, you better pay Jamie really well. And I'm like, she's taken care of. We love Jamie. So
yes. Okay,
well, I hope
everyone.
you guys had fun tonight. At least you learned some things, you opened your mind a little bit. You had some fun. Saturday will be exciting. So that's all good stuff, even though I can't see smiley faces.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the cluster zone and working with your finance buyers. I think that's going to be a huge win for everybody who attends.
It will be. It'll be a massive pivot in the current market. And also, we don't know when the market's going to shift, but when it does, trust me when I say this, Lori knows this, cash buyers do pull back.
Oh, for sure.
When the market slides, cash buyers pull back. But you know who doesn't pull back? Are these finance buyers, because they're already locked in with their banks. The banks already know properties are at a good price. They don't maybe fund at 80% anymore, right? They come out at maybe 60, 65, but these finance buyers know, like, the prices are dropping, cash flow's going up. They're going to go for it because they're not buying it now to sell it in 3 months. They're buying it and holding it for 10, 15 years. They know the market cycle is just going to keep circling back around. So we caught on to that right away. Light bulb went off. And that was when I started going around trying to ask every title company in California. I'll share this story on Saturday, but just cliff note on it. I'd go into these closing attorneys and I'd say, hey, look, I've got a buyer who's getting financing and I got a seller who wants to sell, and I need to put them together and get out of the way, but I want to get paid on it. And they're like, so you want to get paid on a deal that you don't own and you're not buying? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're crazy. Like, they'll call me crazy now, but they'll ask me how I'm doing it later. And I literally went through 13 title companies before I ended up at First American Title in Walnut Creek, California. I'll never forget Meg. And she said one thing that none of the other ones said. She said, let me talk to the attorney about it.
Wow.
I mean, that's all I needed was somebody to crack the door and let me because everybody was just shutting me down. Because remember, people say no because either they don't understand it, right? Or they just don't want to admit they don't know, right? It's an ego thing. And so, so when she said that, I knew then. I was like, oh, she's open, right? She's open. Somebody's going to hear me.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for attending SJREI. We will see you on Saturday, the 19th at 9 Pacific, and we'll go until 3 Pacific, and we'll push Zach a little bit and get a 3:30.
I'm good. I'm all about it. Look, my staff always says, Zach says 3:30. We end up going to 4:30. I mean, I get So, but listen, thanks, Debbie. Appreciate the compliment. Appreciate you, Megan. Thank you. Let me say this right. Thane. I think he's already left. Thank you. Appreciate the thank you guys, even though I can't see all your faces.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.